Boards and booze, booze and boards, drinks and beers, fight some hordes. Drank too much, forgot our swords, ran back home, filled our gourds, got drunk again, sang some chords. Boards and booze and boards, with Mickey and Jeb.
Hi everybody, it's
No,
Jeb.
I'm
Jeb's
here,
not here. Go away.
I'm here. All right, I'm here. See. Hi everyone, Booze and Boards with Mickey and Jeb. We are here to play a game, right?
Yeah, a game.
No, it's a game that we were asked to play. They sent us the game itself, and we were going to do an episode on it, and it is called Mercenaries. Mickey so kindly lifts up the box. It is a deck-building RPG-ish game, I think is what they say that it is.
That's what they described it as.
Yeah, so you'll see when we play it.
Played it a little. I likened it more to a
Tower defense,
defense
right?
is the feel that I got for it. Regardless, it doesn't really really matter what you call it, I guess. But it has some unique characteristics. So, but yeah, it's I guess it's just a couple.
Collin and Ryan Pearson, I believe, is.
Yeah.
I'm pronouncing that right because it's
right.
not the super hard name.
So
yeah, Collin and Ryan Pearson, they were kind enough to reach out to us and ask us to
review their game.
Yep.
And so we've played it. We're going to show you guys how to play it. This is what the box looks like. I think it's all self-produced as far as I can tell. I think that's a little self-produced company logo. So anyways, so I don't know what else. Anything?
I think it's 2 to 4 players, although there is a 5-player variant in the rule book. So that's one thing. And playtime, I don't remember seeing a playtime on it. Yeah,
I don't know if they did or not.
Yeah.
Well, no matter.
You'll see how long it takes us to play one level of it. We'll go through an entire scenario. I think there's 5 of them in the rule book that they give us, or in the campaign book. So we'll go through the first one, and I think that's about it for now. So coming up is our
components and stuff like that,
and then how to play it.
And then how to play. So yeah. I mean, it's been a while since you saw us because it's summertime and we get really busy and it's hard for us to meet up, unless somebody wants to buy us a game store so we can do this full time. Yeah, that's the way it goes. So anyways, we'll be back in a second with components and go over some of the various parts with you in just a minute.
Alright, so we are here with the components of the game. So as
the game's name is Mercenaries?
Mercenaries, yes.
Mercenaries.
So as you can see, we've got everything laid out on the board, or on the table, I guess, not a board. The first thing that every player is going to have is a player playmat.
And that is this. It's a nice thick cardboard. Looks thick enough that it's probably not going to warp or anything like that. So that's nice. I will say when Jeb and I playing, I think both of us kind of thought, why is that necessary? I will tell you right now that this acquired card part, which is really important, actually made it really nice.
Yes, I agree. It helped out with remembering that.
And having the board that actually says it and a place to put it is very useful rather than just having a blank spot. So I maybe not totally necessary, but I like it.
No, I agree. That part helped. And then I guess we should tell them what each part of the board is.
All right, so
it's not very hard if you can read.
Yeah, it's not hard if you. So your deck's gonna go there. It is a deck builder. That's your discard pile. This is basically just the game. I suppose you could put your played cards there if you want, or some of the cards that actually. Oh, it's supposed to be that. Yeah. Oh, look at! I didn't even realize that. So you do play your cards down here. We'll put it back, Jeb.
Well, they don't know that part yet.
Yeah, well, it's going to sit there now because you did it. Anyways, acquired card, discard pile, and a nice shield.
Well, I think all your defensive cards
Go there.
will stay there.
Right, because they don't automatically go away.
Right. And then the next the next component is the score pad, which conveniently fits in that spot on the board, and that has what is it? Where you can write your mercenary color and your HP and your experience that you get throughout the game. So it's a way to keep track of all that stuff when you're playing.
So literally, you write. They give you plenty of room because your hit points are going to go up and down, so you don't have to keep erasing. You can just cross out and keep writing or whatever. Same for experience points. There's plenty of room, so you don't have to cram. So as long as you're not 2 years old, writing in crayon as big as you possibly can, you should be totally fine right here. Jeb has problems because he still has his crayon, but that's okay. I forgive him.
I know all my 25 letters of the alphabet. Alright, so the next thing are the mercenary cards.
Alright, so these are basically your character cards right here. And a big purple, red, blue, and green. So it's pick a color, that's your mercenary.
And that it's up to a 4-player game. The 5th player in that variant is like a dungeon master kind of thing. So there's only ever going to be 4 mercenaries at most. And then next to the mercenary cards is the 1st player card, which I think if you played games before, you know what it does.
And it does move around, and it's actually kind of important.
The next thing are the 36 tiles that will form the field.
Alright, so there's a bunch of tiles that look like this. These are going to go in a 6x6 grid. You just lay them out here. That's only 3, so you would do 6, and then you do 6 down. But, anyways, another curious thing that when we were first going through it, we were kind of like, why?
Right.
It actually works because you know, this is basically how the cards move around. You know, those are your mercenaries, and then there's bad guys and things like that. What we did notice that there's a couple cards that can actually get rid of them.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big point for them not to do like a play mat, and why you have these. If you guys are wondering why somebody would not just make a board. I believe that is we didn't actually encounter one of those things, but we did see the cards that said something about it. So I'm assuming that it's in the game somewhere.
Okay, and then I think, well, aside from the D20, which comes with it, there are the cards. And because it's a deck builder, you need cards. So there's different types of cards. The first kind are skill cards, and they are the gray ones. Okay,
so these are gray. There's 2 piles of them because these are the basics. So your basics are going to be what you set up to for your starting hands. Everybody's going to get the same cards, just like a typical deck builder. And then these other gray cards are also skill cards. You know, there's things like knives and shields, and I think there's
I know some of them are like
shields.
Upgraded shields.
Right, and there's a bow. But the big point is these are skill cards. These are going to go into the marketplace.
The next kind of card are the ability cards, which are the blue ones.
Are the blue ones, and again, depending on your scenario or whatever, these are going to go into the market. And there's a ton of these also that do different things. I don't know. I mean, you don't need to see them all, but anyways,
not yet.
Blue is the skill cards, and
the monster cards are either red or orange.
Right. So, your monster cards, they're all named. They come in, you know, they come in a group. So there's an orange one, and there's a green one.
Red one.
I said it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Orange and red. They come in groups by their name, which is kind of important, and there are a few cards. I won't get into the what they do, but some of them start with the word ambush, and then they have something after it. Like that one there says ambush golem. You know, and so that does nasty things to you. That is a separate card, though. It's not part of the goblins unless it the scenario tells you to put it in.
Right. The next kind of card are area feature cards, which is they kind of go in their own deck, and they kind of give like an overall effect for the area when you're playing the game.
Yep. So they all have green backs, and they all have green fronts. So the area cards are very distinguished from the other ones, you know, because obviously these ones over here all have to have that back because they're going to go in your deck, and then the monster backs also look the same because, yes, the monsters go into your deck.
And that's all of the different cards. There's like some champion cards in there as well, but I mean it's pretty much the same kind of thing. And finally are the tokens for the game. And there's a lot of different kind of tokens, but the basic ones are the wound tokens, which are the skulls. There's a 1 and a 3. There is the acted tokens.
So this is, if you can see it here, this is one. It has a tiny little 3 down there, but there are 3 skulls. And here's a 1, like Jeb was saying, just 1 skull. And it does have the number 1 right below it. And then Jeb had talked about a
acted token,
which are the swords. Between the skulls and these, they will be used the most. And it actually, these are basically like, did something activate already?
Yep.
Don't ignore these because they're actually, you really do need them to keep track of. It's kind of helpful, more so than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah. And then the area feature ones are the green tokens that have AFs on them, and they're used for whenever the area feature card does something that affects cards.
Right.
You can use those.
It's just a nice reminder so that if there's something in effect, you don't forget that, hey, I need to pay attention to it. Looks like there's a fire,
there's a
spider web,
poison, I think.
Timer, looks like, I don't know what that is, portal, or no, that was probably a bound thing or something with a spell. I don't know, there's a bunch of different stuff. The cards will tell you what it does.
Actually, I think none of those other ones are used in the first scenario. When we were playing, it was just the basic ones, the wounds, the active tokens, and the area featured. So as you progress through the scenarios, more things will be introduced.
Right.
So, and I think that's everything for components. The only other thing...
Jeb mentioned this real quick. There is a D20, if you're wondering. The D20 is used for the ranged attacks.
And then the last thing are the 2 books that come with it. There's a rule book and an adventure book.
The rule book's, you know, it's pretty straightforward. I don't think we got hung up on too much. We did have a few questions that we got answered. And the adventure book seems heftier than it really is because it has all the cards. Exactly what they mean if you need to look something up is in the adventure book. So I think Jeb said there are 5.
I think 5 scenarios.
5 scenarios, or you know, right around there, and then basically a glossary for the cards.
Yeah. And that's everything for the components. So we will show you how to set up a game of Mercenaries. We're back with the setup of Mercenaries. So we'll run you through how to set up the game, and hopefully this covers everything. So if you have any questions, you'll be able to see.
And we're going to set up the first scenario, which is the first scenario in the adventure book, and it also is in the rule book. So if you go to either place, it's going to explain how to set it up. And like we mentioned real quick in the intro, we've already done the grid. The full 6x6. I think you guys might be a little chopped off on the bottom, but anyways, this is what that looks like. Before we go any further, just going to tell you guys right now, this game takes up some room. Yeah. So you really need like this. There's going to be a lot more. So just be prepared to have a pretty big space, because don't forget, over here, if you can see my hand, this is only 1 player's card. If you play with 4, there's going to be obviously, you know, 1 up top, 1 on this side, 1 down at the bottom, and we haven't even put the marketplace together yet. So it spreads out.
Yep. Okay, so the first thing you do in setup is every player will get a player mat. So we have our Phantom player over there. He's got his player mat, and he already did the next thing where he put the score pad on the player mat, and then he would write the 20 HP is what you start at, 20 health points, and 0 experience.
Right. So on that little white pad, you literally take a pencil or a pen or whatever you're using, write 20, and write, how much experience did you say? Nothing? Or
No experience.
you don't get any experience to start with.
Yep. All right, so after you do that, every player is going to pick a color and find the mercenary card.
Right. So you guys just decide who's going to be what. Since it's my favorite color, this guy's going to be blue. That surprised Jeb. That's why he was chuckling.
Yeah.
And since I called it and Jeb didn't, I'll be first player too.
All right, you got me there. Okay, the next thing you do, after everybody gets their mercenary cards, you are going to create player starter decks, and that's listed in the rules. And conveniently, I have one of them put together for Mickey there to show you. The things that are in the starter deck, or everybody's starting deck, are 6 basic melee attack cards.
Alright, and so the basic... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so 6 of these. All the basic cards start with the word basic, except for the healing potion.
Yeah.
No, but the skill cards say basic right on them. So you can see we're not going to go over the components of the aspects of the cards yet. There's 6 of the basic melee attack.
Then there's 4 basic blocking.
And your basic blocking is a guy with a shield.
And then there is 1 basic range card.
Slingshot.
And then 1 healing potion.
And it looks like a red potion.
And if my math is correct, that's 12 cards. Everybody who starts the game has a 12 card deck, and they're all the same. That's pretty much how deck builders work.
So before the game starts, you'll shuffle this up, and you will put it on your board where it says deck.
Alright, the next step is to make the 6x6 grid, which we kind of did in advance so you didn't have to watch us make
Put
it.
out a 6x6 grid.
Alright, the next thing is to pick an adventure, and as you already know, we're picking the first adventure.
There you go.
So it's pretty easy. Right now I have the rule book and the adventure book open to that adventure, because the next part is to set up the resource area. And the resource area is made up of skill and ability cards. I don't know if you want to go through all of them.
I think I'm going to set them out just so you can get an idea of what I was talking about with the amount of room that you need, because the marketplace in this game is big compared to even like a Dominion. There's a lot of stuff goes out.
Yeah. So you will have 16 basic melee attack cards.
So during this step, the scenario lists what cards you take. All of it. Well, it tells you how many, but I'm pretty sure it's all. It's just
the basic ones are certain.
Yeah. So then you just start building piles of them.
So this one is 16 melee attacks, 16 basic blocking, all the advanced melee attacks, all the advanced blocking, all the advanced range, then all the gauntlet of power. I will give you a stack and I'll have a stack. So Gauntlet of Power, Shield of Protection, Elven Bowstring, 20 healing potions, all defensive stance cards, all charge attack cards, all charge stance cards, and then positioning and vigor.
Alright, so as you can see, that's a pretty hefty marketplace. Plus that.
Plus the player boards.
Plus the player board.
And
plus we haven't
deck.
built the monster deck yet.
Yeah. So that's how you set up the resource area.
Right.
So after you set that up, and
they call it a resource area. It kind of bugs me a little bit because it's a marketplace. And I know you can go to the marketplace to get resources, but I could equate resources with my money and things like that. Not like, that's the marketplace. I'm calling it the marketplace, people.
I'm going to call it the resource area
Yeah,
because I know it annoys
like
Mickey.
Alright.
Okay, so the next thing is to set up the monster deck and the reserve monster deck. Which, if you've played any of these games with monster decks, when you hear a reserve monster deck, you know something bad is going to happen.
Pretty much.
These are also set up, or it has instructions in the book on how to do this.
And this is important.
Yeah.
You had, like, the monster deck needs to be set up in a particular way. It's not a 100... I think they do a couple things that are a little unique, but for the most part, you've probably seen this mechanic in another game in a different way, but the deck gets set up in a specific order so that it progresses with the game.
Yeah. So, to begin, there is a table in the book that you need to gather however many cards dependent on how many players in the game and whether it's competitive or cooperative. So I'm just going to list off a 3-player cooperative because I'm pretty sure that's what we built last time.
It is, and in case that wasn't clear, I'll just reiterate what Jeb said. There's a table. You look at the table, you find out how many people are playing and what type of game, and then you basically cross-section, and it'll tell you how many of that card or cards that you need for the type of game you're playing.
Yeah. So for the 3-player cooperative game, it has 11 goblins.
Alright, so I got the goblin cards. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 11 goblins.
Alright. 6 goblin archers.
And goblin archers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
7 orcs.
Orcs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And then 4 orc arbalists.
4?
4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And then it says, in addition to the above, you also require a list of other cards, which I'm not going to worry about those now because the next step is to shuffle all the monsters from the table together. So I figure doing this in order kind of makes sense. So the ones that we just gathered that were listed in the table, you shuffle them all together.
Okay, I'm just shuffling now. Jeff can continue.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing is when you're done shuffling, you're going to split the deck into 2 halves, and then the cards that I didn't list is you're going to start shuffling them into each of the halves, and it is listed what goes where. So
okay, so for those of you that like want to be really precise, you can either split it and look, oh, that's close, or you count them out. It doesn't matter if it's an uneven number. You can just, one side will have more than the other. But so you probably can't see this, but I am just making 2 piles of these cards. And now I'm doing this stuff face down because I don't want to know what's in these 2 decks. But now I will put them back so you guys can see them. So now we have 2 piles.
Alright, so designate one of them the top half and the other the bottom half. So.
And we're going to do in order from my point of view, top and bottom.
Okay, so what the cards that you're going to shuffle into the top half are 2 goblin ambush cards.
Alright, and this is
ambush goblin.
Right, so I was telling you earlier. So I take 2 ambush goblins, and I'll put them right there for now because that's top.
1 ambush goblin archer.
And I have 1 ambush goblin archer.
And 1 ambush orc.
And then 1 ambush orc.
Okay, and all of those get shuffled into the top half. And then there is a list of cards that will get shuffled into the bottom half.
Turn that sideways so we know that that one's done for now.
And then we need 1 ambush goblin, 1 ambush goblin archer, 1 ambush orc, and 1 ambush orc arbalist. And those all get shuffled into the bottom half.
Okay. I am shuffling the bottom half.
And then it says, put the deck back together in order. So that means put the top half on top of the bottom half.
Right. So, like Jeb said, I just got done doing the bottom. Now I pick up the top, and I will place it like this. Ah, we're not done yet either. You thought we were done, but we're not.
Nope. The next thing is to take the Orc Champion card and shuffle it into the bottom 10 cards.
So there's the Orc Champion. There's my deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 off the bottom.
Yep.
I take the Orc Champion and shuffle him in. So now we don't know when he's coming out. And then I'll put the rest of the deck back on top.
Alright, and that is the monster deck.
It's the monster deck. But Jeb, you said something about a monster reserve. What is that, Jeb?
Oh, that's the fun stuff. That is where all the ambush cards that we shuffled in come into play. Because when you draw one of those, it's going to bring monsters from the monster reserve deck into the field. So the monster reserve deck, what you do to form that is take all the remaining monster cards with the same name as the monster cards we added into our deck. So I think that's what, goblins,
Right.
orcs.
So what we have left is goblins, we have orcs, we have goblin archers, and we have orc arbalists. Okay, you don't shuffle these together. You just put them in a pile together. You don't have to worry about the order either. You just want to keep them together. That's all.
Right. And they're just set off to the side.
And you keep them face up, so
Yep,
you know
so
you don't
when you draw it,
right, and
you
you don't mess them up with anything else.
Yep. And then it just says to put the monster deck face down near the resource area and put the reserve monster deck near the resource area as well.
So we're running
wherever
out of
you can
room,
fit.
but we're going to put, so there's the monster deck, and there is the monster reserve, like that.
The next is the area feature deck. And for that, there's a list of cards for the scenario that we're playing that we find and then shuffle together to make the area feature.
This deck, it doesn't take long. This is not a huge deck, so
Yeah.
what areas are we playing with in this game?
2 empty areas,
Alright, and there are 2 empty areas.
1 reinforcement,
And there's a reinforcement.
1 treasure chest,
And there's a treasure chest.
cooking area,
And there's the cooking area.
weapons cache,
There's the weapons cache.
tripwire,
And there's tripwire.
dart trap,
Dart trap.
frenzy blow, or frenzy brew,
Yeah.
and foul fungus patch.
Look, Jeb had it perfect because we didn't put it away from the other time we played. So basically we already had the area. There's other area cards. This is for this scenario. And you shuffle them up. And then now you have your area feature deck, which is also off to the side. I don't know if you can see that anymore.
Nope.
But anyways, face down, off to the side.
And the last thing is to gather all the relevant scenario tokens, and for this one it's just these. It's the wound tokens, the area feature, and the acted tokens.
So
And there are more than just the 4 that Mickey's holding.
right, so there's to keep track of your damage, keep track of your activations, keep track of any area features that have special effects that you need to remember. That's what those are for.
And that's everything for setup. So you should be ready to start playing, well, after we explain how to play the game, right? But everything's set up to be ready to play.
All right.